Hey everybody, I'm back. You know what I thought I'd do? I thought I would flesh out last night's topic a little bit more, and as it turns out, this is actually going to turn into a small series because I'm looking at the things I want to cover tonight, and not only will is there a good chance that I may not get them all done tonight, but I just think it's too much to do in a single video, and I'm really not sure how long this video is going to be. But this is a topic I absolutely love, right? Of course, it's PowerShell again, because obviously it's a continuation from last night. And these are going to be in a series, so, you know, if you came across this one first, then go back and watch the first one. So, okay, I'm gonna lay this out for you again. If you remember last night, we were talking about being able to start a job from an agent job from PowerShell. And as a matter of fact, we had quite a bit of success with that, right? So tonight I'm going to go a little bit further, and I'm going to show you how to start a series of jobs on different servers. So let's say a really good scenario is actually in my production environment right now, where we've got a warehouse and several data marts. And after the main ETL job on the warehouse is done, then we need to kick off the data mart loads, and those are controlled by a job on the individual servers, and the job has the same name on all the servers. So what we're going to do is we're going to cycle through all the servers and kick off the same job. This could be the same thing if you have a centralized data collector with the jobs of the same name across all your servers, or if you've got centralized backup routines, right? Or if I'm not centralized, but you've got backup routines that you want to call from a centralized server, something like that, right? So this is just going to be a good way to call, you know, the same job on several different servers, and we're going to cycle through those. And again, I just love this topic because it's good, useful PowerShell, you know, as opposed to that useless PowerShell I usually show you. Jen's over there laughing at me now, so she kind of threw me off. Stop that. So okay, I started off by right-clicking here, and well, actually, I didn't start off by right-clicking here. Originally, I did. Let me close out all this. Let's get out of databases. So originally, what I did was I right-clicked here and went to Start PowerShell, right? And I've been playing around a lot with that since then. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and take you back there manually, just for those of you who aren't really used to navigating PowerShell. So I'm going to cd / will put me back at the root at SQL Server. I'm going to say cd SQL / localhost / default / job server jobs. That should get it. There we go. If I do a directory on that, I see two jobs, and the one that we're going to be worried about is the ETL start job. You can tell I've done more work on it since yesterday, right, when I just did the syspolicy purge history. What we're going to do is I've got this job on the ETL start job. I've got it on this one, and I've got it on this one down here, the SQLCon database. That's just a lab database that holds a bunch of my test databases and stuff, so, you know, whatever. We can trash it, right? So, okay. If you remember last night... Okay, had to step away for a sec. Okay, so if you remember last night, all we did was, when we were here, we just kicked off the job, right? So we put this in parentheses, and then we said get item, and this time we're going to call a different job, right? We're going to say ETL start job, and we're going to say RT start. There we go. And we're going to call the start method. Now, PowerShell isn't case sensitive, right? But I do that just for you to make it easier to read. Now this is going to fail, right? There you go. It's going to fail because, once again, we've got the name and category ID. So I've got to find the category ID of the ETL start job, right? So if I'm here on the local server, let's see, yeah, I'm on the local server. I come here and I say ETL, and it's 100, because you see, if I come in here to the ETL start job, I can see it's in the ETL category, so I need the category ID of the ETL category, which it turns out to be 100, right? Okay. So now I use my up arrow there just to get back my previous line. Come over here and say .100. And there we go, it started. And all that does is it selects add server name. So I just created this job just for this demo. Doesn't really matter what it does, right? So okay, now that we're all caught up, and if you don't understand everything that does, then go back and watch the first video. Now that we're all caught up, let's go ahead and cycle through both of these boxes and start this job on both of these. Now there are a few ways you could do this, right? I mean, getting the info in there, but we're going to do the simplest way. We're just going to create a variable based array, and I'm going to call it @a because I'm very creative. Equals, and you put it in quotes and say localhost, comma, and then SQL con. So PowerShell is smart enough to create an array out of any comma delimited list, so you don't have to actually create an array and initialize an array and all of that. Anytime you set a variable equal to a comma delimited list, it will automatically create an array. So I hit enter there. I can look at @a right there, so I've got my two servers right here showing up in @a. That's perfect. So now, what I want to do is I want to cycle through that. The absolute easiest way to do that is to say @a and pipe that, or not @a, it's $a, but I'm used to doing the SQL, right? So $a and pipe that to a for each. Don't forget your curlies. And now inside of there, this is where all that's this is where the magic is gonna happen, right? So I've got my for each there. The %sign is an alias for each, and so inside of there, I need to do something significant, right? So the first thing I'm going to do, okay, so the significant thing we're going to do first is we're going to set our path back to the root, and the reason for that is when we iterate through the different boxes, we're going to need to set that path again. So it's best if you start from the root. So the first thing I'm going to do is say cd \, right? Semicolon, that's a statement terminator, the same as it is in SQL, right? So you can take, several statements that would ordinarily be on different lines and put them on the same line. So I've got cd \. I'm gonna reset that. Okay, next I need to actually set my dynamic path. Now remember, the only part of this that's going to change is the server that we're on, because we're doing a for each loop, right? So now I need to say cd SQL \, and if you look up here, it went SQL \, localhost default job server jobs. So we need to do the current iteration of this loop, and that is the $_ variable \, and then the rest of it is just the same. So now I say default / job server jobs. So now I've set my path to the current iteration of the server, right? So now I do another semicolon, and I need a new statement now. So now this is where I'm actually going to do the work. I'm going to do the parentheses. If you don't remember what that means, then go back to the first video. I'm going to say get item. I'm going to say etl start job dot 100 from up here, remember, because we looked it up, so we know it's 100, right? I'm going to say net back, that was supposed to be an arrow, dot start close parentheses. Okay, so I haven't really changed much in here, and I'm going to go ahead and put a statement terminator on that one too. There we go. So I haven't really changed much in here. This line looks a lot like this line up here, right? So I've still got get item etl start job dot start, or I'm sorry, this line start job 100 dot start. See, that's right there, and everything else is just fluff to be able to cycle through the different servers, right? So I'll walk you through this again. I've set my array right here, A, equal to both the servers I want to iterate through, and I listed it out right here just so you could see. and then I take the contents of A and I pipe it to a for each loop. I reset my directory to the root. Then I change to the current iteration, which is going to be one time around it's going to be the local host, and the second time around it's going to be SQLcon. If you had 50 in here, it would change for every single one. Another statement terminator, and then I do my real job, right? So what this is going to do is, well, here, let me just show you. Let me just run this, and I think you're going to get a surprise. It's running, it's running. Good. Okay, so we got an error, and we were expecting an error, right? Well, you may not have been, but I was. That was the surprise I was talking about. So let me show you one more thing before I fix this error entirely, okay? Let me show you one more thing. So the error's right here. I mean, you can see that it gave you the path right here, but what if you had 50 of them and you wanted to check their progress? I always like to put progress checks in my PowerShell scripts just for those times when I'm debugging. Sorry about that, guys. I looked over there for a second and my dog was licking the back window. I'm like, very distracting. So, okay. I'm going to put some progress indicators in here. So before I do my get item right here, I'm just going to print something to the screen. So I've got my parentheses here, and I'm going to say starting the current one, right? And then at the end of it, after it's done, I'm going to say done. Oops. Just like that. Okay. So I'm going to say right before I invoke the job, I'm going to say starting and then the server name, and then I'm going to say done in the server name before I do the other one, right? So if I hit this again, we're going to get the same thing, only now I'm going to be able to check on the progress. So that one's done. Now I'm starting SQLcon, and there's my error, and it's done because it errored out. So, okay, so now why did this error out? Let's take a look at the error message and see what it says. It says path not found. Okay, so it says ETL start job 100 because it does not exist. It can't find the path to this job because it does not exist. Well, why does it not exist? I can see it right here, ETL start job on SQLcon, right? I can see that the job exists. It's the same one as it is here, and we verified that it's category ID 100, so what's the problem? And the problem is that we verified that it was category ID 100 on the local host, right? If I switch the server and go to SQLcon and then run this exact same thing, you'll see ETL is 102 for a category ID. Now, this really brings in the problem, right? I mean, this shows you that we're not used to looking at category IDs as anything useful, right? We're used to looking at them, you know, more or less as decoration to our jobs because they're just a way for us to organize them in the GUI, and that's about it, right? What we need to start doing is we need to start looking at them more as the same way we do for schema for the other database objects. The only difference is that the job security isn't really tied to the category, right? And when we access schemas, we access them by name and not by schema ID, which if we access them by schema ID, that would just be horrible, right? Because if we have the same schema on different databases or in different servers and they don't have the same ID, we'd be in the same mess that we're in right now, right? So the problem now is what I have to do is I have to be able to dynamically change. Here, I'll bring this line back. I have to be able to dynamically change, where is it, the 100 to 102. So we've got a couple ways that we can get around this. Actually, the rest of this series is going to be different ways to get around this, okay? And I think I'm going to show you two tonight and then explain to you why another one's not possible. I'm going to try to step this up a little bit because I think I've babbled a little bit so far. So the easiest way to do this, and here I'm going to take you out of here and into Notepad right now. So here is the way this looks as a script in Notepad, and you could bundle this up right now, just the way it is, and give it a .ps1 extension, and just call it directly from PowerShell, and it'd do everything you expected it to do, right? So that's one of the beauties of PowerShell, is that the stuff you do at the command line works exactly the way it does in a script, so everything's good, right? So the easiest way to do this is to take this guy right here, and now you're going to have to get rid of the A, right? Now I didn't set my variable up here, so it wouldn't work exactly the way you want to do, because I didn't set my array values here. But I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to get rid of these guys. I'll bring that up a little bit. So I think that's all I need to do. So all I'm going to do is, instead of doing that, I'm going to say localhost and SQL, not SQL Sin, SQL Con. There we go. So now, and I got to change that to 102, right? So now what we've got is the exact same thing that we did before, only we're kind of hard coding. We're still cycling through the boxes, only instead of hard coding them up here, we're hard coding them down here, right? There's nothing wrong with that, really. You know, it's a very, very low tech solution to a fairly low tech problem, right? And it gets the job done, and it's very easy to extend, because if I need to add another server, let's say if I went the original route, right, and just said $A equals localhost SQLcon, right? If I needed to add another server to the original one, I would just say, oops, new server, right? No big deal, and then it would just iterate through them like it was supposed to. Well, it's not much different now. All you got to do is copy this code, and right here you would add new server. So it's not really that different, right? It's performing the exact same way, only now you have precise control over your IDs. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. That's a perfectly cromulent way to code this. It's perfectly decent PowerShell, right? It's not kludging something together, but it's not very elegant, really, right? So let's jump into a different solution that's a little less PowerShell-esque, but a little bit more elegant, and it'll get the job done. So we're gonna go back to here. I don't know if you can hear my dog wailing outside, but she definitely wants to come in. So I'm going to go ahead and just enter that and let it run for a second, because it's easier than hitting the backspace until all the code goes away. Okay, so there we go. I'm going to clear the screen. Now, I've still got A, right? Okay, good. Now, I'm still going to cursor through this, only now I'm going to cursor through it in just a little bit different way. Actually, I want to change that other code. Where is it? There it is. So, let's get rid of this guy right here, the actual work that we're doing, right? No, I don't want to be in job server jobs anymore. Where I want to be is in databases /MSDB, and yeah, that'll probably do it. So /MSDB. Now, if I come here, I keep trying to do this with my mouse and it's just not going to work. Okay, so now I want to use the invoke SQL commandlet. Can't type tonight. So invoke SQL command, right? And now there, I just want to say sp start job get my single quotes and say ETL start job. That should give me what I want. There we go. There we go. And we've got the provider context warning there. You can kill that. There's a flag to kill that if you want, but I'm not concerned with it tonight. So there we go. I was able to invoke the SQL command, and I got around the category ID problem by using SP start job and just calling it by the job name instead, right? So again, nothing wrong with it. Now we can go back to our cursor and iterate through them one at a time. And there's more than one way to fill that cursor, right? I mean, several different ways. Maybe I'll talk about that in the next video. I'm not sure. But now we used a little bit less PowerShell way by going the invoke SQL command way. But really, it's not a bad way to do things. If you went your entire PowerShell career and did everything with invoke SQL command, I don't think anybody would kick you in the nuts for it. It's just you're not going to grow as a coder, right? But if you're not interested in growing as a PowerShell coder, then it's a really good way to kind of merge the T-SQL you know and learn just enough PowerShell to get by, right? So you can get around, you know, the linked servers and the XP command shell and things like that that are unsafe and hard to work with and stuff like that, right? So if you just learn enough PowerShell to get by, and then you use the invoke SQL command and then jump right back into T-SQL, hey, I think you're all good, right? So now I know what you're thinking, and you may not be thinking this, and Jen's over there laughing at me again.
I know what you're thinking. You may not be thinking.
Yeah, I know what you're thinking. You may not be thinking this. So I know what you're thinking, though. Why don't I just connect to the MSDB database and invoke the start method for the SP start job procedure itself, right? Because that's a very, very good way to do something in PowerShell. And the answer to that is actually pretty easy, and I'll tell you tomorrow night. I'm going to stop right here. Talk to you later, guys. Bye.